Ladies and gentlemen, our program is now beginning. Please find your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Joe Irizarry, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer with Rabba Kistner and the North San Antonio Chambers 2024 Chairman of the Board.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today for the North San Antonio Chambers Annual, albeit renamed, State of Business in Bexar County. We're so excited to have the Honorable Judge Peter Sakai here with us today. Additionally, we have so many special guests, partners, and valued members such as yourselves. I want to begin by thanking our title sponsor, Joris. How about a round of applause for Joris? We appreciate your ongoing commitment to this chamber and especially your support of these signature events. I also want to thank our VIP sponsor, Valero. How about a round of applause for Valero? Thank you to our premier sponsors. There'll be several here, so let me get through them and then I'll ask you for your applause. IBC Bank, McGriff Insurance Services, Pape Dawson Engineers, Project Control, University Health System, and UT Health San Antonio. How about a round of applause? Thank you to our print sponsor, Documation, our AV sponsor, Convention Audio Visual Services, AV, and to our partner sponsor, ACEC. How about a round of applause for them as well? And thank you to all our many other sponsors here today. You've seen their names on our screens here, and you also see them in the program. We just can't make events like this happen without the support, so thank you. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the North San Antonio Chamber's Board of Directors and the staff for all of your great work. We've done some incredible things already this year, and we've got a lot of exciting transformational things to come the balance of this year and into 2025. And I'm very excited and honored to be working with all of you. Your dedication to this chamber and your hard work is greatly appreciated. Now, please help me welcome the UTSA ROTC, who will present the flags and honors. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God and indivisible. Once again, thank you to the UTSA ROTC. Round of applause, please. Thank you, UTSA ROTC. And before we break for lunch, please have a seat. Before we break for lunch, I think most of us know that we can't do great things unless we surround ourselves with great partners. And as we hear from Judge Sakai today, we have to acknowledge, we know he has a very strong partner in Mrs. Sakai. So real briefly, before you start your salad, Mrs. Sakai, we have a little something for you. Come on up. Everybody, Rachel Sakai. Come down there. Stay right there. Okay, we appreciate all of you being here today. Let's take a short break for lunch and then we'll start our program. Enjoy lunch.
Of Versa Terra and the 2024 Government Affairs Chair for the North SA Chamber.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, on behalf of the North Chamber Executive Committee, Board, and staff, we want to thank you for being here. Today, I have the privilege of serving, as they just mentioned, as the Chair of Government Affairs for the year. Halfway through the year, we're proud to have been at the table, to have weighed in on a chamber on several key issues in our community, including but not limited to charter reform, SAWS impact fees, and conservation policies. We supported and advocated on important issues such as employee retention tax credits, San Antonio to DC nonstop flights, and funding for the Advanced Rapid Transit, to name a few. Of course, we look forward to having a great discussion today with our County Judge, Peter Sakai. But before we get started, we want to acknowledge and thank those elected officials who have joined us here today. Several of you have joined us for our government affairs meetings, and we look forward to having those who have not attended to join in the future. If you can please stand and be recognized when your name is called. Obviously, the man of the hour, Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai. Bexar County Commissioner, Precinct 3, Grant Moody. Bexar County Commissioner, Precinct 2, Justin Rodriguez. City Councilman, District 9, John Courage. City Councilwoman, District 3, Phyllis Villagran. City Councilwoman, District 7, Marina Alderete Gavito. City Councilman, District 8, Manny Pelayas. City Councilwoman, District 6, Melissa Cabello Havner. I believe we also have the Bexar County Tax Assessor, Albert Uresti, here. The Mayor of the City of Live Oak, Mary Dennis. Councilman, City of Converse, Stacey Adams. Bexar County Sheriff, Javier Salazar. Representative of the 120th District, Representative Gervin Hawkins. Representative of the 118th District, Representative Lujan. John Lujan. And newly elected Bexar County Appraisal District Board Member, Naomi Miller. And we have from the county Manager David Smith, and I'm not sure if he joined us after all, but City Manager Eric Walsh was supposed to be here. So give everybody a round of applause, please. Again, thank you all for your service to our community, and please let me know if I missed anybody. One of our core tenets as a chamber is advocacy. What does that look like for the North Chamber? Well, it looks like signature programs like this one, leadership programs including Civic Leadership Academy, Breakfast with the Mayors that's coming up in August, and City Vision are just some examples of our efforts to inform our members about what's going on in our community and then advocate on their behalf. We also have our monthly government affairs meetings where, as mentioned prior, we invite civic or elected leaders to come and inform us about issues and topics that are important to them and to our membership. So I mentioned the mayor's breakfast. I have to give ourselves a shameful plug, but we're really looking forward to that breakfast coming up on August 9th. Information about the event can be found using the QR code in your program. We have currently 11 mayors committed so far, so please help us get the word out. So finally, I'd like to introduce my friend and key member of the North San Antonio Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and Executive Committee, Chris Corso. Chris, why don't you come up? Chris has done an amazing job chairing our workforce committee the past couple years, but more importantly for today at least, he's here representing our title sponsors, Joris General Contractors. So let's all give Joris a big thank you, and let's give Chris a welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and on behalf of Gary Joris and the 650 employees of Joris General Contractors, we're very pleased to be the title sponsor for today's event. Bexar County's been home to Joris General Contractors since Gary's father founded the firm in 1967. Gary's father was very involved in the community, very involved with the trades and the sub-trades that we worked with, and that's still happening today. Our mission is to transform people and places. And we do that by becoming involved in the communities where we live and work. I want to tell all of you, the North Chamber has been a great partner for George General Contractors over the years, and I'm honored to be serving on the board. I'm chairing workforce development. We're bringing a lot of people to the table. There's a lot of great entities trying to do good things with workforce right now. The one thing that I've seen that's been lacking to some extent has been bringing everybody in the room and then bringing the business community and their HR directors to provide feedback to some of the great programs that are happening out there. The North Chamber has been a huge advocate for us in that capacity over the years. And as I look out across this room today and look at the relationships that we built over the past 57 years, it's really an honor to be here and to say that whether it's University Health System or University of Texas at San Antonio, Texas A&M, Credit Human, the city of San Antonio, they're all represented here today, and we are just so proud to be a part of this community. And on behalf of Gary and the employees, we are very pleased to be the title sponsor of this event. I have the great honor of introducing our new CEO and chairman, Brett Finley. Brett's been on the job all of 7 months. He is a Texas State grad. He got his BS in kinesiology from Texas State University, got a Master of Arts in Political Science. Most recently, the past 6 years, he was with the San Antonio Board of Realtors, where he represented 16,000 realtors across Bexar County, advocating for public policy for them. And I'm really honored to welcome him up to the stage today as our president and CEO, and he will be moderating with our guest of honor, Judge Peter Sakai. Peter, speaking of giving back to the community, he has had a career of public service. He was appointed to be the children's judge for Bexar County years ago. He served 4 terms as a 225th Circuit Court judge. He was elected to that. He joined the office of judge of Bexar County in January of 2023, so both of them are relatively new. He has a great family story as well. His family, Japanese, World War II, his dad and his family were involved in internment camps. So he is very, very, very concerned about civil rights, rightfully so, something that's near and dear to his heart. He's also been great about giving back to the community himself. His wife, Rachel, is an educator like my wife. Congratulations, 32 years at Harlandale ISD. Rachel, will you please stand so we could recognize you? My wife said, be sure and let everybody know that she's doing God's work. So thank you for what you've done at Harlandale. I noticed we had the opportunity to build for University Health System their new Women's and Children's Tower, and we have Jim Adams in the audience today. Jim's chairman of the board of the University Health System. He and his wife celebrated Jim's 65 years of marriage, and y'all are graduates of Harlandale ISD, so thought I would put a plug in for him as well. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Judge Sakai to come up, and let's get this thing kicked off. And again, we're so grateful to have you all here today.
Thank you, Chris.
Come on down.
All right, thank you.
We're good. Okay, we made it. Welcome, everybody, to the State of Business in Bexar County event. As Chris mentioned, I'm Brett Finley, President CEO, and we have got a lofty agenda for today. A lot of topics to dive into, and I'm really excited and so thankful that everybody could be here to have a little fireside chat with 350 of your closest friends and family. Maybe next year we'll try to work with AV to get like a fire kind of going, not literal fire.
Not in this heat, all right? It's a bit too hot out there.
Just missing a glass of scotch and a cigar or something. But
sounds
we are going to have a bit of a chat today. So without further ado, Judge, and I think when folks talk about your role as county judge, you were certainly focused on both regional investment, but also foreign investment, and not just Mexico, but also beyond. And I know overseas you had a recent travel over to Japan, trying to really strengthen international relations with prominent business leaders. You want to touch on that, and also maybe a few welcoming remarks for our audience today?
Sure. Well, thank you, Brett, and let me thank the North Chamber and the work y'all do. A little bit of feedback. And just want to thank all of y'all. Y'all are kind of the the foundation for our community, at least from the business community. So I want to thank all those that participate, all those that support the North Chamber. Brett, thank you, and your board, and thank you, Gary Joris, for being the title sponsor, along with all the sponsors that make this opportunity for me to come and talk to y'all. And really, all we're hoping today was to have a conversation as to what I've been doing, where am I going, and what I'm hoping that we can do in collaboration to make Bexar County a better place. And so, Brett, thank you for this opportunity.
Okay. So, talked a little bit about your recent trip to Japan, Judge. You want to talk about maybe some accomplishments? What's on the horizon for foreign investment potentially here in Bexar County?
Well, in middle May, I made a decision to take a trip to Japan, a delegation over there. I want to thank my team who went with me. It was myself and Rachel, along with the Bexar County team. Matthew Polanco was Chief of Staff, David Marquez with the Bexar County Economic Development, and a staffer, Marshall Hoke. We also had Great Air SATX, and I want to thank Sarah Carabias Rush and Shirley Forbish for being part of that team. One of the kind of unknown people that really was the strength of that team, for those that are not aware, we have a Texas-Japan liaison, Hiro Watanabe-san, and he was very instrumental in making sure that we were success. So in a nutshell, Brett, I would say we scored, we knocked it out of the park, and we did very, very well. For those that, and sometimes the public needs to understand why we do these things. Why is because I see these type of trips as to help develop and expand the economic base of Bexar County. It's pure and simple. There is a return on investment for these type of trips. Also, too, it was my opportunity to develop the relationships with the high government officials in Japan, and we met a few, and also to meet the businesses and industries that are dealing and working here in Bexar County. And I will tell you, in 5 days, 5 working days, we had 22 meetings, 5 national press interviews, and we worked from the morning to the evening. So we were very, very focused. We strategized, and like I said, some of the outcomes, the return on investment on that, I will tell you, we have some new manufacturing companies from Japan that are coming this year to come see what Bexar County is all about. I am confident those opportunities are going to become realities. Also, too, I had an opportunity to meet some high government officials. I met the Honorable Taro Kono, who was the Minister of Digital Technologies, and I believe he may be the next Prime Minister of Japan if given that opportunity. And so we had a great opportunity to discuss the strength and the industry of cybersecurity. I will tell you, it's interesting. Japan doesn't really they really, both in the private and the public sector, really didn't have that issue, so to speak, with cybersecurity. I don't know if that's because they haven't had issues or it's not a high concern, but I wanted to make sure they understood that cybersecurity was an integral part of our economic base in Bexar County, especially with UTSA being one of the leading institutions for cybersecurity in the education, and the 2 buildings they're building right there by the courthouse. And so one of the things I think I was able to plant a seed, both in the government and in the private sector, was you better take care of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is something you need to integrate into your business models as you come to the United States. Also, too, had a great conversation with the governor of Aichi Prefecture, Governor Omura, and he has a great relationship. That's where Toyota Japan, the corporate headquarters, is located. And one of the things that we committed to was to continue a United States-Japan student exchange. And so I'm looking forward and working with Rachel to see how we can become closer in the relationship. Obviously, this trip, by coincidence, came after I was invited to the Prime Minister Kishida's joint address to Congress. And I also used his address to tie back to Bexar County, which is the U.S.-Japan relationship is strong, but it's going to need to be stronger. And they're going to really look to link more. So I took that commitment that Prime Minister Kishida had to take it to the private sector to say, we need to do even more. So I'm excited about the seeds I planted, so to speak, the opportunities that I was trying to let the Japanese industries, especially in the manufacturing world. And so finally, I think, Brett, what I really wanted to accomplish was this. I wanted to build consensus and build an understanding with our partners there in Japan. I wanted to deepen that relationship. I'll be real blunt, I'm a Japanese American, so it gave me tremendous leverage in having those conversations with the officials in Japan. And finally, I wanted to convince Japan and the industries there that it is in their best interest to look to Bexar County, and then from a regional perspective of what Bexar County and the regional, including looking south into Mexico, could create for these business industries. So I think it was a tremendous success.
That's fantastic, Judge, and thank you for your, I think, intentional leadership. I know you mentioned cybersecurity. We talk about Military City, USA, but I don't think a lot of folks know we've got over 16,500 cybersecurity professionals right here, second largest hub of cybersecurity in the United States outside of Washington, D.C. I see Jim Perschbach back there with Port San Antonio, Lockheed Martin. I know they've got room for growth with over 15,000 square feet of facility space to bring in potentially new employers. They're aggressively hiring as we speak. USAA, I know they're killing off, I think, 1 million and plus cybersecurity attacks in their cyber center on a regular basis, just to say a few things there on cybersecurity. I want to transition. Let's talk a little bit about transportation. We've got the Texas-Mexico Automotive Supercluster. That's everyone's favorite acronym for this afternoon, the TMASC initiative. We've got some top findings about advancing economic growth. This was a strategic partnership between Texas and the four most northern Mexico states. I think in 2013 it was first started. Seen a lot of good work there. Can you talk a little bit about that new initiative, new-ish?
Well, one of the things Bexar County has focused on, and I give credit to David Marquez and his team at our economic development shop, was that the county has always looked at the regional perspective of growth, which means look at the manufacturing trail, so to speak, that starts, and I think we have it up on the screen, that starts in Mexico, central Mexico, with the manufacturing plants in there, literally comes to Laredo and uses I-35 as a trade corridor throughout the country. And so one of the things that I think was important about TMASC and having this study was that we were able to give data-driven analysis to the private sector, and even to the public sector for that matter. But the private sector really needed to understand what the opportunities they have to come to Bexar County, and then understand that what we're looking at from a county perspective is how do we tie in the regional concept. And so one of the things TMAS did was give Japan and those officials data, metrics, analytics, so that they could make their cost-benefit analysis. Also, too, we were big on making the pitch from a fact-based data perspective and having the TMAS report as an underpinning of that presentation. And that's the reason why I applaud my team. We were very focused. We were very prepared to address the needs of each company we talked to. We were very, very intentional with that. And then two, I pitched as the county judge about collaboration, how I am making a special effort that city, county works together on these type of issues of bringing corporate opportunities to our community. I also told them that I work with the county judges, my counterparts, all in South Texas. I'm going to continue to look at things from a regional perspective. And so what I want them to understood is it just wasn't a sales pitch of Bexar County. This was an opportunity that they had to come to expand and establish a corporate base. Ultimately, I was also pitching they need to bring their corporate headquarters. They need to be physically located in our county. And so I'm convinced that the business growth that this initiative and the trip to Japan will increase the economic base of Bexar County. And so the TMAS was an example of having the data. And I think, I'll be honest with you, we didn't go try to pitch them the world. We gave them facts. And we left it saying, read it. In fact, I believe the TMAS report is on all your QR codes. I want to make a shout out for that, to say if y'all want to see that report. And we also put it in Japanese so that there was going to be no issue of interpretation or what. I will tell you, in a couple meetings, we really did a deep dive in that TMAS. They really wanted to go, what do you mean Mexico to Laredo to San Antonio and on up? And so one CEO literally got on and just started going on the map, going, where does this all go? So I'm just telling you, it was, again, there was a very strategic process to our presentation there in Japan. Also, too, I think what's important is to recognize TMAS is the underpinning of what I call local regionalism. And I use the word Texas Diamond. The old Texas Triangle has been really Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, right? And how all that could develop into an economic generator. I have wanted to create what's called a Texas Diamond. San Antonio at the top, Corpus to the east, Laredo to the west, down to the Rio Grande Valley, which I grew up in, so I know that community very, very well, and into Mexico, more specifically Monterrey. Understanding that that is going to be the key to the growth from this strategy of from an international to a national to our local community. Let's bring in, and I've been down to Laredo, I'm going to Corpus Christi, right, Vic Boyer? I'm going to Corpus Christi this Friday to share, and all we're doing is not making any pitch. What we're trying to do is help them understand that the projects we have hopefully is going to collaborate with the projects they have, and that we just don't look at silos, that this is all Bexar County, this is all South Texas. No, how does it all come together? And that was one of my takeaways in Laredo, is we have a lot of work to do to bring that perspective of collaboration, that their projects that they're creating. I will tell you, one thing I learned, was that they've got a tremendous investment on the bridge and the capacity of the bridge. They have clearly said there is more traffic to come, which means more truck traffic to move commerce, which means more trucks on IH-35, which I'm sure will touch on other collateral issues. And so, again, I think there's a full report on TMAS, and I want to invite everybody to use the QR code, which I believe is at their table.
Please take a look at that. And again, we've got a ton of opportunity, I think, by virtue of some odd, 310 plus local suppliers in the automotive specific side of the industry, 50,000 employers here in Texas, another 400,000 employees who are living and working in Mexico. I want to touch on a little bit of workforce development, specifically in that space of advanced manufacturing. I know the county has a couple of programs you'd like to shed some light on how, hey, we have eagerness from industry. Do we have the willpower, the training, the trainable workforce to fill those jobs?
The short answer is yes. I mean, obviously, we're fulfilling the needs of Toyota, Navistar, HEB, Holt, and more companies to come. One of the things that I want the North Chamber and everybody in the room to understand is the county does have specific programs in the workforce development. Sometimes it's mentioned, but I didn't really understand until I became county judge what work the county is into the workforce development. And we have basically two programs. And we have Texas Fame and Texas Fast. Sometimes those programs are kind of interlinked and they sound like the same one, but they're not. So let me make sure everybody understands Texas FAME. Texas FAME is a 2-year program, advanced manufacturing program. We partner up with the Alamo College District. And I believe their campus right now is down on the Palo Alto campus and in the St. Philip Southwest campus. And what it is it's a joint venture of the workforce where students are given 2 days of class work on campus with a 3 days on-the-job training of a sponsoring company. And I'm referring to notes because I want to be very specific about our numbers and our success. Out of Texas FAME, we've gotten 212 graduates, 91% placement rate, with an average wage rate of $28.31. Ideally, what we're hoping out of Texas FAME is that people will get an associate's degree, if that's what they want, and they will get a certification in the advanced manufacturing trade, and they got a guarantee for a job. And I think it is a very successful program. Now, Texas FAST is all part, but separate. Texas FAST is a 10-week boot camp. It's basically it's entry-level maintenance technicians. And it's people that have not been in the workforce generally. We're focusing on older students. We're focusing on people that perhaps have made bad choices and are coming out of the criminal justice system, if you know what I'm saying. Or we're dealing with people that have really never engaged in the workforce. And what we're doing in that 10-week boot camp, Brett, is that what we want to do is just get them to get a skill set and have the employer committed to take that graduate and then skill them up. In other words, the company will really then engage in a full-time workforce development program for them. Numbers, 121 Texas FAST graduates, 88% placement rate with an average hourly wage of $26.78. I will tell you, one of the things that we picked up in the trip to Japan was that we got feedback that, I think it was Toyota, it was one of the manufacturers in Mexico that had to shut down because of the shortage of labor. And I grabbed that and said, you're not going to have that here. One of the things that I'm committed to, and it's something I've committed to from a pledges campaign to what I'm doing now as county judge, is I want to see public-private partnerships. I don't want to see county having to do everything and doing the heavy lift. I'm looking at you, private sector, to say, hey, what can we do to partner up? And then bring in the other public institutions, such as Alamo College District, such as the public school districts, anybody that has and funnel people into the skilled workforce. The other thing is, and I'll say it on the record, I want an employer-driven program. I want the employers to say what they need and what are the attributes, the skill set they need. And then, like I said, we have a program that can really put people on a career path with Texas FAME, have an associate's degree. I would assume some people may decide they want to go back into get a higher degree of a bachelor's or a master's, and so that they can move up. But we want to get them into the advanced manufacturing training programs. And so that's where the county's at. And I think it's very successful, and I am committed to expand that, especially from an employer-driven program.
That is, I think from a chamber perspective, Judge, any employee-driven program as it relates to workforce development, hey, that's our love language, so we're right on par there. So you mentioned I-35, and I know you've been strengthening relationships not only across the seas, but also here with your counterpart, Travis County Judge Andy Brown. And passenger rail has been a topic of maybe a little bit of the past, but maybe reconstituted. We're still trying to work on some things. I want to kind of glean your optimism on a scale of like 1 being it's a pie in the sky, there's no way it's going to happen, to 10 being, hey, look, like we've got some momentum here and it's absolutely a certainty. Are we somewhere in the middle right now? How does passenger rail, what's the outlook right now on the optimism scale?
Let me say this. I think it's going to happen, but it's going to be a slow, methodical process. One of the things, let me kind of give you the background with Judge Andy Brown and I. so that you understand this relationship that we have. Obviously, the Spurs have to come to the Commissioner's Court, and I know Commissioner Moody, Commissioner Rodriguez yell in the room. You know, they need permission by the way, I'm the landlord of the Spurs, okay? And I mean that in a positive way. They had to come to the court to get 2 games in Austin, and we had to get permission. And we got some pushback. There was some public, why are you giving them permission? The Spurs are leaving. They're going to go to Austin. And I had to put the brakes on that. So in my conversations with Judge Brown, out of this particular incident, I told him, hey, are you taking my Spurs? And he goes, no. Okay, will you say that publicly? He goes, yeah, I'll say it publicly. Okay, do we have a shake of the hands? And I'm a shake of the hand kind of guy. I also had a conversation with Peter John, and Peter John said, no, we're not moving. So we obviously allowed the Spurs to go and has allowed this I-35 relationship. And I think it's really brought Travis County and Bexar County more together, and again, in a very collaborative way, just with the fact we started a conversation of common interest. So let's get to what you're asking for about rail. Judge Brown is like, I want rail. And I had to initially say, I want rail, but I got to say it a little quietly. It's been tried and it hadn't happened, and I'm not going to make the same mistake over. He, on the other hand, they got light rail in Austin, you know, I mean, they do all kinds of things, right? Bear is bear. We got to go at the pace that the community will embrace. And so, in regards to rail, we agreed that we needed to look at multimodal transportation. We could not build out more lanes at 35. We're doing it now. And I'm going to tell you, from my reports, we're going to have too much truck traffic, and we're still going to have choke points on 35. So rail is going to be a necessity. Thank y'all very much. Now, why did Judge Brown and I start the conversation? Because there are opportunities, and those are the conversations we continue to have. The Biden administration has $66 billion in order to invest in passenger rail. We wanted a conversation so that we could make the pitch to the federal government as, you think you can give us some money? And we made the pitch, but we didn't get in line. A lot of the passenger rail was East Coast, West Coast. And so we understood that. We also understood that Amtrak is a stakeholder, partner, and has to be involved because they do run a rail, but it's only once in the morning, once in the evening, and there's not good reports coming out of the service of Amtrak. And so what we have done now is we have brought stakeholders together. Bring this conversation, bring this collaboration, and we've had multi-meetings, and I want to recognize and give a shout out to Councilwoman Melissa Havada, who is representing the city of San Antonio and has, quite frankly, is out front of this along with myself on behalf of the county. And so we have also 2 county judges and city officials in between. And so it just aligns with the regional partnership. It aligns with this regional. Because I'm also saying, why aren't we also looking from San Antonio to Laredo? Because we know that there's been a study from Monterey to Laredo, and that Mexico is prepared to invest in rail. So my perspective is, maybe we can't make high-speed rail happen, but Judge Brown and I says, look, what we want to do is we want the opportunity for people to go up and down 35. I see the opportunity and growth of a commuter rail, whatever that could be, and whatever we can create with whatever resources we have, that people would come from Austin to the Frost Bank Center to come to Spurs game. I mean, they're coming, but we want to see that growth. I went to 2 sellout games in Austin. I'm telling you, the Austin people embrace the San Antonio Spurs. So why aren't we making it convenient? Why aren't we developing and enhancing our entertainment centers? I get it. Travis County, Austin has some really great, neat events like South by Southwest, but why aren't we having it here? And so private sector, I need you to create these entertainment districts or entertainment centers or events that will bring people down. Obviously, we know that there are people that live in San Antonio, work in Austin, and so we also want to provide for them. And so, Brett, that's the reason why I am cautiously optimistic. But I think from my perspective and just my way I lead is I want to be methodical. And so as I have planted seeds in Japan, I'm planting seeds in our community that we must be committed to rail.
That's great to hear. And I know we're running a little short on time. We've got other questions to get through, and I'm not going to let you off the hook on the county being a landlord of the San Antonio Spurs. But before we get there, there was a small groundbreaking on the south side of Bexar County just this last week. 400 acres was purchased by JCB. Some of you are probably familiar with them. Absolutely. They've got a 720,000 square foot facility, and by Texas math, that's a whole lot of football fields, that they're putting in on the south side of Bexar County. Judge, what is that going to mean for economic development and just, overall here in Bexar County? Why should folks be excited about JCB?
Because I think JCB is, one, if y'all are not aware, it's a UK. So we've got one of the largest manufacturing of military and agriculture equipment. You see some of their equipment along the roadway on road construction. I mean, you just said it, 1,500 new jobs, 10 billion with a B in 10 years. And what that goes is what my strategic plan is. Use it to develop and expand the economic base. Use it to defeat generational poverty and the rates of poverty we have in our community by creating really meaningful jobs that pay well. I see JCB along with also too, I think it's already been announced, I got to be careful on what announcements I can, but Toyota is going to go on an expansion. And they're going to go on a $500 million expansion on their campus. And we're really looking forward to see the economic impact. If you just go down to the south side along what I think it's Zarzamora that turns into Highway 16 and over to 281, you're going to see an explosion of growth. We've got the UH Hospital, Jim Adams, Jimmy Haslocker, thank you for your leadership on the UHS board. We've got a new hospital that's going to include mental health to meet the underserved needs of that community. You can automatically see that the school districts, Southwest, Southside, and East Central are all getting the effects of an increased tax base. So I'm not going to touch that public education and finance. I'll let the people in Austin continue to do that debate. But what we can do locally is just kind of keep building up our base. And so JCB, Toyota, and I believe the other businesses that are yet to come, but are coming, that we're going to be able to really increase the tax base, which will then allow us as a body, and I'm talking to my fellow commissioners, to look at ways to lower the tax burden on seniors, on our veterans, our first responders, that we can hopefully maintain those keep those taxes down so that we don't overburden our system. And so I'm just so excited about what JCB. As you saw, Toyota was a game changer. Toyota Manufacturing Texas. It was a game changer for Bexar County. It was a game changer for the South Side. And now I think we have another game changer. So if you think they scored a lot of points, there's more points to score in this game.
We love hearing that. And I know, speaking of game changers, San Antonio is really known for their small businesses, right? Truly at the heart of the cause of what I think us as a chamber really like to lean in on. Can you talk about, from a county perspective, the support, the resources that y'all have for small businesses here in Bexar County?
Well, obviously, small businesses and running for this office, I made a commitment to small business. I knew some of the big projects that we just mentioned, they were going to happen, or we really had momentum there. We need to continue to focus on small businesses. I really believe they're the heart and soul of our community, including all the mom and pop operations. And so one of the ways I want to help them is for county government to be more accessible, to be more transparent, to be more accountable, to be more user-friendly, because they need the resources to develop. In light of that, I will tell you one of the big initiatives I'm doing right now in regards to county government, I really want a big upgrade in county procurement. We're still stuck in a lot of the old ways, so to speak, in old systems. And so I really am pushing our county procurement to really be more streamlined. I'm also committed, and I believe Renee Watson, who I was with an event last night. We were, and let me get my notes, with the Associated General Contractors of America, the local San Antonio chapter. We had graduates, about over 24 graduates of small business being certified in order for them to enter the job market and be vendors with Bexar County and to understand the process. And so those are the things the county's committed to its small women minority-owned business enterprises with Renee Watson in charge of the San Antonio Business Enterprise Department. I'm really proud, and I don't know if he's here today, but one of our new county department heads is Art Reinhardt, who heads up our Public Works County Engineer. I was really proud that we provided a public input on that appointment. And I hope people learn to appreciate it. I really wanted the community and especially the business community to tell us who were the best people to become part of Bexar County government. And Art really has done a great job of trying to open it up and making public works a more public-friendly, private sector-friendly. So all I want to do is encourage all of y'all to go to the county. We have our vendor portal, especially for your commitment or your small business members. Let them understand, and perhaps there's more training to do in order to let the small business community grow. I want them to grow along with the large businesses that are coming. They both have to be rising up at the same time. That, to me, is going to be a big accomplishment, and I'm confident we're going to get there.
That's great to hear, Judge. And I know from the Chamber's perspective, there's been a great deal of receptiveness from you and the county leadership, hearing and gaining that feedback from small business owners to say, hey, look, this is where the support we're needing, this is where maybe the mark isn't being hit, and let's adjust accordingly.
Well, let me just quickly follow up. I know that we're short on time, but one of the things that we passed, and I want to give credit to the court and to the commissioners, we established a construction bonding assistance program. I think it's the only one in town, so to speak, where we're going to expand through county assistance the ability to assist contractors to build and expand their bonding capacity, which means they'll learn to compete at a higher level. That is something I'm really excited. I really want to see the results, the ROI on that program, because I think that's a game changer. Also, too, and I think some of y'all may be involved, especially the public institutions, is our supply essay. I think former Mayor Secretary Cisneros has headed that opportunity to look at procurement from an entire community perspective. I think we've got 14 plus governmental entities, public institutions that have all signed on to make the procurement process. So as I'm working on county, we are working and part of that, and I think David Smith, our county manager, has been the leader on the local level from the county perspective of having how business gets certified, how do business know about the opportunities. And so again, that's another exciting initiative that the county has led.
Let's go a little bit further down the question board here on anything else that we haven't covered. And we've got, in addition to economic development, your stated priorities of public safety, public health. I know you touched on the new hospital development. We've actually got Mr. George Hernandez, the President and CEO of University Health here, as well as Mr. James Adam, Chairman of the Board of Managers for Bexar County Hospital. Can talk a little bit about on the public safety side and public health aspects, some of your focus points in that.
Sure. One of the things as in running for this county judge, obviously I brought a skill set being a judge in the court system about our justice system. And obviously last fall we had a situation where we had the media, God bless them, they covered all these situations where there were shootings between repeat offenders and police officers, which was obviously a danger and an issue that needed to be addressed. I think some of the conversation at that time was really finger pointing of, well, it's you're to blame, no, you're to blame. And this is where my relationship and my commitment to this community came in. I called the mayor called me, I don't know who called first. He said, look, we got to stop this. We got to stop the finger pointing, and we've got to fix this. And so what I did was and along with the mayor, and we worked together on this issue. We brought all the stakeholders together. We brought the chief of police and the San Antonio Police Department. We brought the sheriff and the sheriff's deputies. We brought the court system. Judge Ron Rangel represented the courts. We represented all the other stakeholders that are part of public safety. And what we did is we broke it down and we analyzed it. And I have my A-team, my staff. Cynthia Koss was really my leader on that initiative. And we basically put a public safety plan together. We put, I think, as I recall, my notes show about 3 dozen steps that we all adopted as a group to help bring and tighten up the criminal justice system. And I truly believe that we, as a result, we are keeping our communities safe. I know there are things that happen, and I continually have conversations with the sheriff. I have continual conversations with the chief of police. What do we need to do? And so we tightened up some of the issues of release of especially repeat offenders. We looked at whether our magistration system needed to be tightened up, so to speak. The use of our personal bonds, our electronic monitors, all that kind of got looked at. And so what I want the public to understand, and it's an ongoing issue even right now, the public is safe because we have committed, elected, and appointed officials who want to do their very best. What we need to learn to do is we need to learn how to work together and to communicate, and then, and as Commissioners Court or City Council, and I know we have City Council, how much do we invest in that? Because it takes tax dollars to make some of these projects and steps work. And those are the tough decisions we make in light of the tax relief people are asking for.
So I want to circle back. Before we close, I want to circle back and touch on, I can't let you off the hook, as I mentioned. I don't think anybody's going to let you out the door without asking about the world's greatest basketball team, the San Antonio Spurs.
The Spurs.
County is the existing landlord. What can you share with us? What can you share with the audience? Give us a little bit of perspective and what the role of the county has been thus far in those kind of talks.
Well, obviously, there are conversations, and they're continuing. And there is nothing concrete to report out. And even if I had the ability to tell you something, the group has agreed that we need to work in confidence in order to accomplish what the Spurs. Let me make these points, and I've made it publicly. I made a commitment to the San Antonio Spurs and Peter John Holt and the Holt family to say, I support you. I'll do whatever I can to, and especially keep you here in our community. And so the Spurs know that. At the same time, I let the Spurs and the city know that I have an investment of the Frost Bank Center that was created when I believe County Judge Cindy Cryer was on the court. And I said, it's still a great facility, and we have a lease that goes to 2032. So I have a fiduciary duty as a county judge to make sure everybody complies with the contract. Or if we need to, renegotiate. And so I've made it very clear that I have to protect Frost Bank Center. I have to figure out and repurpose what the Frost Bank Center is going to be if the Spurs leave and when they leave. And I'm telling you right now, we don't have anything concrete to report out. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you. But also, too, I also said this, and this was a big stipulation I told everybody in the room. Whenever they created the Frost Bank Center, they made a commitment that they would invest in that community, in that east side, especially around Frost Bank Center. And the Frost Bank Center would create this economic center with whatever they would create. I quite frankly told them that that hasn't happened. That I truly believe in my conversations with the community in the east side and the leadership in the east side will tell you those promises were never met. They feel that those promises were broken. And so I have insisted that whatever we do to assist the Spurs and to figure out how we can negotiate it. That development in that Frostbank Center is ongoing, and I'm expecting an investment of all the stakeholders involved. Now, what we need to understand is that may mean a lot of different things. So I will tell you that the county is at the table, but at the same time, the conversations really are between the city of San Antonio and the Spurs. And then once they formulate that, then we're going to obviously we're there to make sure all the pieces of the puzzle, and that's going to be my job as the county judge to make sure the county's protected, the county investment is protected, but yet I want to be very clear. I'm committed to the Spurs. We know that Wemby won the Rookie of the Year. We know that Wemby's going to bring another championship to our community. And so what we need to do is we got to make things work. And that's my commitment to the community. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. One of the other things, too, to recognize, I don't know if they're in the room, but I've insisted that the San Antonio Rodeo, SAIL, and the Bexar County Coliseum Advisory Board are at the table. The rodeo is a very valuable partner in the Frostbank Center, and I want them to take advantage of whatever opportunities can come in what this new day will be for the Spurs, for the city and the county. We also want to look at what we can do to enhance the grounds of the Coliseum Advisory Board. That is a crown jewel that was created many, many years ago, and I'm committed to make sure that the rodeo is also protected. They've been a very good partner with the county.
That's great to hear, and thank you for the insight, your candidness. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our questions for today's program. Judge, before we let you go, though, we wanted to just say a bit of a thank you, financially speaking, in regards to a donation to the Bexar County Fostering Educational Success Organization. The North San Antonio Chamber is going to be donating $500 towards those charity efforts to make sure that you can get foster kids into that successful pathway into possibly succeeding and on to college and bigger things to come.
Let me give a plug for that.
Absolutely.
Unless we're like, Judge, you got to...
No.
Let me tell you, the Bexar County Fostering Educational Success is a foster care program that I created when I was in Children's Court, along with UTSA, Texas A&M San Antonio, and the Alamo College District, and CASA. And what we did was an example of what I try to do every day as your county judge. I brought everybody together and I said, look, we got to take care of these kids that have a tuition. They get free education, but they're not taking advantage of it because there's no support for them. And I just want to applaud Dr. Amy and, more importantly, Miss Peggy Amy, the First Lady of UTSA, that we took it and we have a program that is, I'll be honest with you, people all over the country want to know, how did you create this? And we didn't create it by county, city. We created it by everybody coming together and figuring out what we could do. It's one of the most successful programs I've ever put together. It's something I'm very proud of, and that's an example of what I hope to bring to the county. Let's fix things. Let's sit down, roll up your sleeves, and let's figure it out, and we come together and collaborate. And I continue to do that as I serve as your county judge. So thank you, Brett. And more importantly, thank you for the flowers for Rachel.
Hey,
I probably would have gotten a little static at home going, how come you didn't give me flowers? And so thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
And thank y'all for what y'all do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Judge. Great job.
I took an arrow to the heart. I never kissed a mouth that tastes like yours. Strawberries and something more. Ooh, yeah, I want. The engine, we can drive real far.